crime that's up, violent crime's up, repeat offenders on the. We have teenagers being stabbed in the subway system in Toronto and elsewhere. We have stabbings on the rise. Are you hearing this in your constituency?
I think I mentioned this at least once, if not twice, on your program, Jamie. Criminals love this Liberal government. I saw that as a Crown prosecutor. I saw the confidence of these criminals coming in knowing full well that it didn't matter what I had to say, that didn't matter what type of opposition I put up, either at the bail stage or at the trial stage, that even if they were convicted, because of the soft on crime agenda this government has introduced since 2015, it's really put shackles on the ability of our judges to do the right thing. It clearly favors the rights of the criminals over the rights of the communities and the victims. Do
you also think there might be another step to this as well? The Liberals, I find, like to use a crisis for an opportunity, right? Like crime is up, violent crime is up on their behalf because of the actions they took in various pieces of legislation. But then to implement their agenda, they can say, well, violent crime is up, then we have to confiscate as many firearms as possible.
Well, look what they did in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
We had the horrific mass shooting and killing in Nova Scotia. And they used that travesty to then introduce their May of 2020 Order in Council firearm ban. The accused in this matter was not a licensed firearm owner. He obtained his firearms illegally, and no matter what legislation they would have introduced, it wouldn't have prevented this from happening, unfortunately.
And the crisis, to your point, is the significant number of killings of police officers across this country. It seemed that the death of Officer Purcell, the OPP officer near my riding, just outside of my riding in southwestern Ontario, became a catalyst for reforms, a catalyst for change, a catalyst for advocacy. Police associations, police chiefs, premiers of provinces and territories. And yet there was still pushback by Minister Lametti, still pushback in the belief, trying to propagate this belief that our justice system was still working, that our bail system was still working. He was still tagging those lines at our Justice Committee. Nothing to see here. The system is adequate. Only until this government received the extreme backlash that they did from coast to coast to coast, that they introduced what they deemed to be a bail reform bill. Bill C-48 has yet to be debated at second reading in the House, yet to be studied at committee. It is a dangerously flawed piece of legislation. It is not a reform bill. So many people, I say predominantly the number of my supporters, saying, Larry, we do not have a justice system. We have a legal system. A legal system that is being dictated by this Liberal government to advance their interest. And those interests are protecting the rights of the accused.
Well, this is how I think the left continues to win elections, not just in Canada, but around the world as well. It keeps that division going. It keeps the fact that you might be maybe against your neighbor for whatever reason, whatever the government tells you the reason is, and then you're looking at them rather than looking at the government and noticing, well, I'm sure many people have noticed that the price of groceries are through the roof, the cost of energy is through the roof, but if you're more or less looking somewhere else because the government is pointing out that your neighbors are awful, evil human beings, you're not actually focused on how horrible the government has managed the situation or created in the first place.
Correct. It's not just demonizing Canadians. It's demonizing duly elected representatives from across this country that constitute the opposition. How dare we criticize the government for these wonderful solutions and wonderful objectives that they're trying to achieve? The number one role of the opposition is to hold this government to account. And quite often that requires, in my opinion, a prosecutorial approach. And God knows we've had so many scandals over the last 8 years. There's an abundant amount of material that we can prosecute on. But it's also important that we give Canadians hope and we show Canadians that we are indeed a sophisticated opposition that we are ready to govern in the next, following the next election.
Hopefully soon.